Everybody, let's talk about Metazoo. So I have some information. One is kind of hearsay. They're both kind of hearsay, but one is from an extremely reliable source. The other one I heard through the grapevine. So I have information that Metazoo is working on a kids' TV show. They have the comic book already. They're working on the TV show. And I also have some information that a major grading company is looking to brand themselves as the official grader of Metazoo, differentiating both the grader and Metazoo and legitimizing them. Now, does this mean they have the absolute perfect equation to become a smash hit and rise up the ranks to pull Pokemon numbers? Well, I know some digital monsters that would disagree with that. Metazoo is very, very early. Very early. I think getting loyalty and branding with kids is essential for the longevity of a trading card game like Metazoo. Do I think a TV show and all the other elements will help them? Absolutely. Do I think the branding with a grader will help them? Absolutely. Do I think Metazoo is dead? I don't. Not at all. I think there's way too much money behind it. Even if none of those other variables were happening right now, there's too much people with cash tied up in Metazoo to let it fail at this point. Now, with those other bits of information, if they all pan out, it's a big if, right? I haven't seen any sort of contracts with Metazoo, with a studio. I personally am not involved in any way with that grading company. If all that comes to fruition, and it does so promptly, I think the prices are really, really going to move short term. I have no idea what Metazoo is going to do long term. Like I mentioned in the beginning, there are trading card games that have seemingly all of the elements to make it a massive hit with longevity, and it didn't happen, right? It just didn't. Most of these games, when they do apply those equations and they go for the kids and they go for the product branding, they do well short term. And I'm hopeful that Metazoo does come out with a TV show. I'm hopeful that it's not terrible. And if it's not terrible, even if it is terrible, to be honest, I think there's going to be some really significant short-term price movement. So over the last week or so, Metazoo hit a support, which I'm really glad to see, about $640 for a first edition Cryptid Nation box. It's now back up to about $840. So when you're looking at card prices, right, there's a support and a resistance. And what a support is it's the lowest price that a card will like bounce off of, or a box will bounce off of, and it's the support level. It's that low point before it starts to get an upward trajectory. Sometimes it'll bounce around a little bit, but it's seemingly, if you're looking at a chart, this bottom where it will spike off of, like it's hard for it to go down below. Resistance is the opposite of support. So it's basically what I said, except in an upward trend, that it's a point where it's hard to get above. Now, 840, I don't know if that is a resistance level. It's where it's at right now. I've seen that box go way higher before. And when I first bought some Metazoo in the beginning, it hit a support level, right? It went up, up, up. I think around $500, and it trickled down, and then it's going down about $300. Everybody said it was done, and then slam, it went up to $850, and it went up over $1,000 a box, but it's been trending down. And a major reason for that is because at this point in a trading card game, when it's so brand new and they don't have the visibility of a lot of games, I mean, I haven't seen it in Walmart yet. I've heard it's coming out. I've heard it's coming out in all these big box stores. I have not seen it there yet. And there hasn't really been any new news about it either, other than like new issuances of sets. So without publicity and without an enormous player base, there's not going to be a ton of buying activity initially. But when news does come out and when it pops, it really, really pops. So like I said initially, you know, it went from, I think the initially was like $75 or $100 a box, and it made it all the way up over $1,000 in a relatively short amount of time. I think that first edition box can really start to spike again. I'm seeing the same thing with the Kickstarter. I was seeing Kickstarter boxes for about $8,000. Now it's up over 11 again. So there is definitely movement. And I don't know if it's because the TV show and the other things I'm mentioning are things that buyers or other buyers, I'm sure people are aware of it, right? I'm not special, but if they're using that information to predict stuff that's coming down the line, that the prices are really going to move. So I'm just going to reiterate the point. This is not, even if everything works out perfectly, right? With the branding TV show, this does not mean that Metazoo is going to ascend to highs that no other game has ever seen. It doesn't mean it's going to overtake the lead, but it does mean the prices are going to move in a shorter term substantially. It's kind of scary for me to go buy more boxes at like $850. That's a lot of money to tie up on a single box right now. But also thinking about where Magic and Pokemon prices have gone, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for vintage boxes. To think Metazoo could be there, but I don't think like that. It's too early. The trajectory of some of those other vintage products with other games have taken a long, long, long time to move, right? Same with the singles. Like look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the more elusive cards in that, right? In the game. The vintage cards, the first editions of certain sets, those prices took a long time to tick up. I don't think why Metazoo would be any different on the singles. However, the sealed product, with how much interest there is for people to make money, and how much big money is behind this game trying to get the prices to move, I think there could be much quicker movement on sealed product prices than what we've seen in any other trading card game. At least the potential for that. That doesn't mean that I think a first edition Cryptid Nation box is going to go to $10,000 in like a year. I don't think so. But I could see it going a few $100%. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not buying any more boxes right now. This is just my opinion. But I wanted to share some of this information that I've heard. I'm sure some people viewing this have probably heard it as well. And I'm really, really curious to see how this plays out. This is David with Desert Psycho Gaming. Please like and subscribe. And most importantly, have a great day.